What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment, and if you're about to pull out your John Deere Zero Turn for the first time this mowing season, I'm going to give you a list of 7 things you need to check before that first cut. Number 1 on your list should be a full engine service if it's needed. Now, this may include actually changing all your filters, or if you go more by hours and you haven't met that hour limit for this mower, then you at least need to go around and check such things as your engine oil right here. Check that fuel filter, make sure it doesn't have a bunch of gunk in it. And then also, most importantly, we need to check our engine air filter, because you have to think, with it being at the rear of the mower, it's receiving a lot of grass and a lot of debris, so we definitely want to check that. This is one that is recently in for service. So if we take this guy off and we open it up, we can see right there that it is definitely in need. You can see just how much debris and junk is on the outside of that filter. So at the very least, checking your engine air filter, definitely number 1. So number 2 is one that often is going to get overlooked, and that is checking the fluid on our transaxles. Now, on the zero turn mowers, you will have 2 transaxles, which means you will usually have 2 of these tanks or reservoirs here on top that is going to hold fluid. So we want to make sure and check the level, and how we're going to do that is by looking over here on the side. There will be sight gauges that are going to tell you where that fluid level is at. Now, if you are at a point that you need to add fluid to your transaxles, what you need to do is get in your operator manual, look and see for sure which type of oil your mower requires, because it will vary depending on the mower and on the serial number. Now, if we do need to add that, we can simply remove these caps, just like so, and then we'll have a screen often that we need to pull out. And then we can simply put in our funnel and then add the fluid until it is to the line that it needs to be at to be full. Number 3 is going to be checking our tire pressure. Now, if we've had this mower and it's been setting through the off season, we always want to make sure and check tire pressure. But this is also important because tire pressure is going to make a difference whenever we are leveling our deck, which is also what we need to do for step number 4. So for number 3, checking that tire pressure, go ahead and break out that tire gauge, make sure that our tires are to spec where they need to be. And then next, we need to go ahead and break out our deck leveling gauge, make sure that deck is level so that we're making sure and getting that nice cut that we finished out the season before. Number 5 is going to be checking our belts. Now, the first one and most obvious one that everyone is going to think about is going to be our deck belt. So we can do that by lifting here and being able to pull this belt across to see what kind of shape it's in. We also can remove our middle panel here, our foot panel. On most of these mowers, take that off and inspect the belt visually. But then we also need to go ahead and take a look on the underside of the rear of the mower here to check out our transmission belt. Make sure we're looking for things like cracks, wears, tears, all of those things like that in these belts to make sure and see if they need to be replaced before we start that first cut. Number 6 is going to be making sure and greasing any grease points that we have on this machine. Now, if you're doing this all the time, making sure that your spindles are greased. If you have greasable front forks on your mower for those front wobble wheels, we want to be make sure and checking those, putting grease in those. But mainly, guys, we need to make sure that at the very minimum, whenever we're pulling this mower out for the first time, that we are greasing those spindles. One thing that you have to think about is that over the off season, while this has been sitting, there could have been moisture that built up in there. That grease just happens to dry out sometimes and start to go away. And so we need to make sure to be keeping those spindles pumped full of grease to make sure the life of this deck stays true to what you're expecting. Now, last but not least, at number 7 is going to be adjusting our tracking. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by tracking, what I'm talking about is at what position are our levers whenever we're driving here. So if we're trying to get a straight on cut, ideally what we're looking for is pushing the levers forward at the same time. And as you can see here, when I go all the way forward, I have a little bit of difference here. This lever is a little bit further forward than this one, and that may be okay. So we need to have this mower on and be driving to see where exactly we need to be when we're pushed all the way forward to be going straight, and where we need to be all the way backwards and everywhere in between, just to see where we're at. Because once we get those set to where we're pushing them all the way forward and we're going straight, then we have that tracking adjusted. Now, as of right here, what I would do just to get started is I would make sure and get these in position. So what you're gonna have is a little adjustment screw on each side of the mower here, right in front of your control levers. So to get that back to where it needs to be, I would want to go ahead and screw that in. Now on some mowers, you'll have a tool right on board that will do this. Some you'll have to go ahead and break out that tool kit. But we're gonna go ahead and adjust this, get those handles back straight. All right, and then once we've adjusted that to where we're in our parked position, to where when we're all the way forward, those are straight together just like that. Now's the time we want to go out, take it for a drive, make sure that that does stay true and that those hydraulic motors are working at the same speed there to make sure that we have a very consistent ride control. If we need to adjust, if right here whenever we're pushing all the way forward, or if we notice that whenever we're pushing them together, one motor is working harder than the other, then we need to adjust one or the other of these screws to get that back to where they are driving in unison. So when we're pushing these at the same time, we're going completely straight. Whenever we pull back at the same time, we're going completely backward. So just a quick recap on the things we need to check. One is gonna be our engine maintenance, and at the very least checking our air filter. 2 is going to be checking that level of our transaxle fluid. 3 is going to be checking our tire pressure. 4 is going to be leveling our deck. 5 is going to be checking our belts and making sure we're not only checking the deck belt, but also checking our transmission belt, which we can see from the rear at the bottom. Number 6 is going to be making sure we hit all of those grease points, and at the very least making sure we're greasing our spindles. And number 7 is going to be adjusting that tracking. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you need any parts for your John Deere mowers, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.